We welcome you back to the second episode of Talking Blizz with Joey Bonadonna. And this week we will be getting a chance to talk with Blizzard wide receiver number one, Steve Newbold. Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey, appreciate it, Joey, for having me, man.
Absolutely. We're um, coming off of week one. Last week we talked with Tyrell Thompson. This week, coming off the first game. Obviously, a tough loss week one against Frisco, but going forward, you guys get to go onto the road and go up to Worcester, Massachusetts to take on the Pirates and another early test. But for this one, we're here to talk Steve Newbold. Steve, originally you're from the Miami area, correct?
You got it.
And yeah, so how was like, what was football like in Miami? How did you get involved early on growing up?
Man, Miami football is just it's different. When I say that, I mean by like the speed of the game, the players, coaching, even the weather is different. It's just about what 80 degrees, 90 degrees almost every day. So it's just a lot of challenges out there when it comes down to football in Miami. Even Florida itself, it's a lot of talent in Florida. So growing up in Florida, you just have to be a dog. You got to have that dog mentality and just you got to stand out also. So growing up playing football in Florida was like a challenge.
Yeah, well, last week we talked with Tyrell and he played down in Texas and Texas is I mean, high
Yeah.
school football is a religion there, but I mean, Florida's up there too. I mean, you look
Most
at all
definitely.
the schools down in Florida that have um, produced great talent in football over the years. It is no doubt a football hotspot, and you bring some experience from down there. And after that, you went to college, played at Tennessee State. Um, what was that experience like playing at the FCS level out of high school?
The experience was it was different coming away from Miami, Florida again, moving outside of my comfort zone into a different state, different weather. It was kind of getting chilly in Nashville around that time. So that was around like my first time seeing snow. So basically, it was a great experience to be honest. I enjoyed it.
And it very quickly that takes us back into coming here to Green Bay, and we actually got a chance to talk. When we went to the Herd game, and
Yeah.
you mentioned last year was your first time playing since before COVID. You didn't play in 2020 or 2021.
Yeah, right. Due
Last,
to the COVID
yeah,
and everything around that time, it was a rough year. I couldn't have pro day, anything like that. Stuff. A lot of things was canceled. So it was just a blessing in disguise.
yeah, and obviously football, sports in general, athletes during that pandemic, you mentioned it, pro days got canceled.
Mm,
Guys trying to get to the next level, it was a challenge for them. Just trying to be able to be at events, get your name out there, and that was certainly a challenge for many people. Ultimately, for some of them, led to them joining the IFL, the
right.
XFL, the USFL, all those leagues coming back. IFL came back after the 2020 season, but opportunities are out there, no doubt about it. And last year was your rookie season. You came in. It was a great receiver room last year.
It was.
What was that experience for you guys coming in um, to that season last year and being able to produce in that room that you guys had?
Um, Basically having that bond, to be honest. The receiver that we had last year, it was a lot of dogs out there. You had Dez Stewart, Keyshawn, me, Shaq. There's a lot of us that wanted to really play and wanted to showcase our talent out there. So us sticking together and just trusting the process to know that we doing the job for each other. Basically, what I'm saying is we getting each other open. So that's what kind of kept us with that same drive throughout the season. Like we most definitely got to make sure our receiver core is the one of the top receiver core out this year.
Absolutely. And then carrying over from last year, you mentioned yourself, you mentioned Shaq. You two are back for year two with the Blizzard. Um, and going back to what we were talking about, we talked about at that Herd game. You said last year you're a little rusty. You're coming back
Mm,
this year. This is the real Steve Newbold.
yeah.
What can the fans expect this season from Steve Newbold, number one?
They can expect excitement, a fun, respectful player. They can expect the money worth more than the money worth. They can expect the unexpected. You never know.
And starting off in game one, it was a solid performance in the stat book for you, Steve. 3 receptions, 61 yards, 2 touchdowns. Only two receivers in the IFL in week one had 2 receiving touchdowns. You were one of them alongside Braxton Haley from Arizona. Again, obviously not the result on the scoreboard that you guys anticipated coming into week one. But how did it feel just being able to get back out there into year two?
It feels great. It started off kind of rough, it's some plays that you all didn't see that I missed out on. A couple missed mental errors, but it's a lot that I have to work on. So it's just the beginning of the season, but the game was great. I had a couple of catches, like you said, 3 catches, 2 touchdowns. So it looked good on paper, but once I broke down the film and everything, it's a lot of things that I also can work on.
You guys head to Massachusetts next week to take on the Pirates. Playing the Pirates at the Resch Center, you guys are undefeated 2-0, but when you go out to Worcester,
Mm.
it's 0-2. I obviously coming back with a little bit more of a vengeance after the result on Sunday. What do you guys going into this week with practice? What's the mentality of going into Massachusetts trying to get that first win? And it'd be their first game of the season as well.
Well, one thing that we have to do is get rid of the past. Week one is already out the picture, so that's one step to the stepping stones. Another one is just execute the game plan that the coach has lined up in front of us. Make sure we execute it in a dominant manner, and we'll be able to handle and play a good game.
Absolutely. And looking forward to that game this weekend. We will touch back on that later on, but going back to you, Steve. I've heard, especially out of camp this past couple of weeks, you Steve Newbold enjoys cooking. Tell me a little bit
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
yeah, I love cooking. I can whip it up. Actually, I'm gonna go on and cook after the show, so I can cook. I can cook almost anything you want, from lobster, steak, chicken, almost everything. For you, give me an ostrich, I can probably make it taste good.
I mean, the amount of stuff I was seeing on social media out of camp,
Yeah,
I
we had a
mean,
blast up there in Michigan, man. That
yeah,
was fun.
yeah. We talked about that last week. What was that experience for you? I know Tyrell mentioned a lot of guys from down south weren't prepared for the weather up there in the UP, but
Yeah,
uh, you've been up here for this will be year two. But what was that like up
that
at Michigan
experience
Tech?
in UP, that was a cold one. I didn't prepare myself for that one. I didn't bundle up the right way. I kind of brought some windbreakers and some baby jackets and baby sweaters. But as far as that, camp was a blast. The weather was amazing. It was way more snow than Green Bay. I never seen that much snow ever. The
Yeah.
cabin was beautiful. It was a great experience for me, the players, also the coaches too. We had a great time.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a great year, great way to kick off the season. I mean, that's definitely a new experience for everyone involved, being
Yeah.
able to do that camp away from Green Bay, not necessarily being in the city, but being able to go and uh,
Being
build,
outside our
yeah,
comfort zone for real.
right, build
Yeah.
chemistry, being outside of Green Bay, not just the area that you're going to be comfortable with all season,
Right.
in that sense. But again, going forward. Um, you've got Massachusetts. And pulling it up here. This is their first game of the year. They do have a familiar face over there
Yeah,
in Mamadou
Mamadou.
Mbaye.
Yeah.
And Mamadou played 2 years here at Green Bay. Decided to move back a little bit closer to home. He's from Rhode Island, and he will be playing a little bit closer to home. But what's that going to be like? He's on the defensive side of the ball. That matchup's probably going to be out there a little bit this weekend.
To be honest, it's gonna be a challenge that we've been waiting for. We used to always talk trash and practice, but we couldn't really get physical with each other and everything like that. So basically, it's time for us to meet.
Yep. So I mean, Mamadou's definitely a guy
Yeah, he's
that
a smooth guy. He's a
yeah.
great player.
We had Mamadou on the coaches show the last couple of years. I mean, he's a great guy, but he's in the other colors now. It's going to be a great
Yeah.
matchup on Sunday, out in Massachusetts this Sunday at 12:05 kickoff Central Time. Um, any other any other comments going into this week? Again, you mentioned it's early on in the season, still a lot of games to be played, but what is that? What's that mentality this week? What's that excitement for the rest of the season?
The mentality for this week is just being disciplined to the game, making sure we are where our feet are, playing the way that we're supposed to play, coachable, being coachable, learning from the mistakes from week one, scoring more points, stopping them from scoring more points. And if we do those things, we'll come out with a win.
Absolutely. And we're looking forward to it again this Sunday, March 26th, 12:05 p.m. at the Massachusetts Pirates. You can tune in on YouTube, Facebook Live, and I believe Twitch as well now. So
So
a
yeah,
lot of options to tune in this season. I didn't even know that when we're going live last week. I thought it was still YouTube, and
mm.
scrolling through. Apparently there you can watch on Facebook and
Nah, that's
Twitch
what's
now. So
up. That's what's up.
so
It's the 20th year. A lot of things going on this year. So
yeah, I
hopefully
mean,
we can change the game and make it to the championship on this 20th year.
20th year for Green Bay, 15th year for the IFL. It's a great time to be a part of the organization and the league. So looking forward to a great season. Again, still a lot more to come,
Yep.
and we're looking forward to it. Steve, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Talking Blizz with Joey Bonadonna. Again, game this week against the Massachusetts Pirates on the road on Sunday at 12:05 Central Time. Tune into that one. Tune in next week for our upcoming guests. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode. And as always, go Blizz.